women who have stepped into our ring. You've made such an impact on our success and on our business. And to all you fans, I don't know what else to say, but we would not be here without you. Thank you so much. On September 10th in Arlington, Texas, we will be celebrating our Slammiversary pay-per-view. It's going to be a very special night. And tonight I want to let you know that that night we will announce the very first TNA Wrestling Hall of Fame inductee. Very excited about that. There's going to be a lot of great things happening at that show. But tonight is a very special show for us as well. We're going live all summer long. We're kicking it off here tonight. And you may have read about some changes going on, some exciting things on Impact. And one of those relates to the Knockouts division. As the head of Impact Wrestling, I have a special place in my heart for the girls, as I know a lot of you guys do here too. We've got the best female wrestlers in the world, but this next 10 years, I want to take them to a whole nother level. And that's going to take the dedication of somebody working on that with me. So when I looked around, I realized that this person was under my nose for the last few years. She's been born into the business. She's been surrounded by the greatest minds that this industry's ever had. Every conversation we've had, I cannot impress upon you enough. Her enthusiasm, her passion for what we do, what we all love, her outside of the box thinking. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to stand up and help me welcome right now the new executive in charge of the Knockouts division, Brooke Hogan!
Say what you want, I'm coming through. New girl in town, I'm coming for you.
Think about it. From television personality to recording artist to movie roles, Brooke Hogan has accomplished so much in the entertainment business at such a young age. And now the daughter of our general manager, Hulk Hogan, is officially joining the TNA family.
Well, Brooke looks beautiful as usual, and I'll tell you, Brooke is, she's a firecracker, man. She's got her own style, she's got her own swagger for those that know Brooke. So I think it's a great choice by Miss Dixie Carter, having Brooke in charge, the executive in charge of our Knockouts division.
Brooke, officially welcome to Impact Wrestling.
What a welcome.
I remember when I called and asked you if you would do this, the first thing you said was yes. But what was the second thing you said to me? Do you remember?
You tell my dad.
So I did tell your dad, and he's been very supportive, and I appreciate that. But we did it the right way. It was us girl power, talking about the most important girls in the wrestling business today. You excite me when we talk about this, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to all you're going to do for us. So welcome.
Dixie, seriously, this is amazing. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank you guys for having me here and for welcoming me with open arms. Dixie, I know how much the Knockouts mean to you. I know that you are all about girl power. You want these women to be seen as powerful, beautiful, talented women. And that is my passion. I've grown up in wrestling. I love this just as much as you do. I know that I have some really big yellow boots to fill. But I promise you, I am taking this so seriously. This is so close to my heart. The fans are so close to my heart. The girls are amazing, every single one of them. And I just can't thank you enough for the opportunity. I'm going to work my butt off. Thank you so much. And fans, thank you. Knockouts, thank you so much. Dixie, thank you.
You bet. We're going to have a lot of fun, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, Brooke Hogan.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon.
Sit down, shut up, and listen up.
Wow, I had no idea that Slammiversary was getting moved to September, even though the pay-per-view is scheduled for a week from tomorrow. Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. At least Dixie Carter sounded a little bit more comfortable on the microphone, even though, well, all right, I can't rip her too much as far as forgetting a date. I know I've messed up quite a few in my day, so in my time here on the show, I should say. It's almost 3.25 years. I'm sure I've made at least 300,000 mistakes. I don't know, something along those lines. Yes, but before we'll talk a little bit more about Brooke Hogan and where TNA is going. But first, let's get to the phones. Let's get to Ed in the Northeast, who's been waiting ever so patiently. Thank you so much, Ed. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. It's not just me. I heard about that long date too, about Dixie Carter.
Wait, which thing about Dixie Carter?
That she said the wrong date.
Oh, yeah, the wrong date. Yeah, well,
I thought it was just me.
that just goes to show anything can happen when it's live.
Anyway, here's some live and local wrestling shows. This is Matt Hardy and Lalani Kai at the NWS in Jersey.
Oh, okay.
At a high school gym.
Well, it makes sense. They're in the area for the Legends of the Ring Festival. Yeah, so is that going on tonight?
Yeah, that's tonight. The PWS has their second night at the Rec Center in Rahway. Two Cold Scorpio, Simon Dean, Jay Lethal, Tommy Dreamer, plus more.
Yeah, the local bookers around here are just totally piggybacking off of the Legends of the Ring festival.
And, there's one in Perth Arbury, New Jersey, at St. Mary's Gym. Val Venus, Mil Masquez.
The Hall of Famer is going to get back in the ring.
And Rocco Murder.
Rocco Murder, yes, one of our local guys.
I haven't heard his name in a while.
Yeah, they're. I know they're going to be doing something August 4th. They're going to be doing a show, and I'm going to be involved in some capacity, but I haven't been told exactly what. But as the details come, I'll of course bring them out to you as I attempt to do.
The fundraiser it was rescheduled in Lansdale from the Triple WA. It was supposed to be tonight, but they rescheduled that.
Ah, okay.
Too many shows running the same night.
Yeah, it makes sense. You don't want to dilute the fan base.
Yeah.
And definitely, as it is, I've already gotten a few friends of mine letting me know that they're down at they're either up in Monroe at the Legends of the Ring, or they're down in Philadelphia at the comic convention.
And we have Chicago tonight at the Trop.
Yeah, so there's stuff going on all over the place.
Too many to list.
Yeah, I don't know. Which one do you pick, right? It's like a buffet. I mean, but except how can you travel to all those places to sample it? Thanks so much for the call, Ed. Always appreciate the look, and certainly had a lot to give us today. A lot, obviously, with all the wrestlers appearing locally in the area for the big conventions. They're kind of getting their money's worth by also involving themselves in some local shows as well. But Brooke Hogan, I know I talked about it a couple weeks ago, or at least first brought it up, in charge of the knockouts, or at least is going to be involved with creative of the knockouts. I don't know. Considering the creative team has made some strides now that Vince Russo isn't involved. So I don't know. I guess you can be around the business, but not necessarily make a significant contribution. I'm sure Vern Gagne's son Greg would be a prime example of that. I mean, you can look. Well, I don't know. It's always hit or miss when it comes to second generation stars, and at this point, I don't know if Brooke even qualifies as far as the term a star necessarily. But there she is, and we'll see where things go as the upcoming weeks go on. But obviously, we've got to get through Slammiversary first. Some other news and notes: Brock Lesnar, without really being involved in the WWE, as he has quit in storyline. He showed up last Saturday at the UFC pay-per-view, kind of going back to his recently old stomping grounds. I was, of course, in Vegas this past Saturday. Lesnar watched UFC heavyweight champion Junior Dos Santos defeat Frank Mir to retain the UFC championship. I think Lesnar's familiar with Mir, having faced him a couple of times. Also, The Rock, speaking of names, I guess, from the past, he was asked on Twitter when he intends to return to WWE. Quote, they asked I come back at start of 2013. Have 3 films to shoot, so trying to make it work. Missed that electricity, though, man. So 3 more movies that The Rock has to get through, and it looks like, let the rumors and speculations begin of what involvement, if any, The Rock will have in the Royal Rumble 2013. Yeah, I know, we're 7 months away, or 8 months away. No, 7 now. That's where we're in June. It's amazing how, numbers, counting, things of that nature. But yes, the Rock, it's got about 7 months to go, and then let the potential hype for the Royal Rumble and, of course, the road to WrestleMania beginning. Instead of comebacks, we've also got a departure. Dom West, he's going to be leaving TNA, according to Mike Johnson of PWInsider.com. Of course, Dom West, the longtime color commentator until 2009, and then he took over the merchandise division, something that he was notably familiar with, of course, from the Shop at Home network, the whole beat dial-in and things of that nature. And I guess another, not quite departure, but closing in on it, TNA has removed Alex Shelley from their website roster page. Looks like he might be moving on to other ventures sooner rather than later. I mentioned Chris Jericho's suspension, finally defined at 30 days. He's been doing something interesting, counting down the days with various factoids on Twitter. He started that 6 days ago, counting down day number 27. He threw out the fact my dad's number when he played in the NHL, also my ranking in the top 50 WCW superstars of all time. Also, at that point, it was that day's date, May 27th. And he kind of went on and followed on with a few other things. Day 26, an R&B group formed by P. Diddy in 2007, and he was also 26 years old when he won the WCW Cruiserweight Championship for the first time. A day later, 25 or 6 to 4, his favorite Chicago song. Maybe I'll play that in the overnight, who knows. Loudness has a song called 25 Days From Home, and 25 was the number of Winnipeg Jet Thomas Steen, of course, getting the hockey references in there. But he's moved all the way up till about a half hour ago. He's up to 21. He said, 21 only son, but he served us well. Also, I'd rather see 21 Jump Street with Johnny Depp than with Jonah Hill. Of course, referring to the old TV series that's being revived as a movie. So yeah, looking for some more awkward wrestling moments. John from the North, he's been chomping at the bit for weeks on this, and he just threw out a whole slew of them. I don't even know if I can. Well, I guess I'll have to quickly try to filter. The first thing he said was Super Dragon, which I'll admit I'm not as familiar with that one. I'm sure he'll chime in and school me on that. But he threw a pretty good list that I don't know if it necessarily mirrors mine, but he mentioned Sandman's wedding incident. I'm trying to dig back off the top of my head at that one. Vince McMahon apologizing for a tribute show. I knew he was going to try to sneak Benoit in there somehow. The finger poke of doom, that was one I'd put together. Of course, January 4th, 1999. Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan. There's one I didn't exactly think of, although, yeah, I guess it was more awkward for the censors at that point. Seven's debut, Dustin Rhodes in WCW. I don't know. I guess if it were televised, I'd probably put Chris Jericho's recent incident in Brazil, but he's got that. Chris Jericho fighting a fan in a parking lot. I'm not familiar with that one. Of course, this is what spawned the whole thing, the Chuck Palumbo, Billy Gunn gay wedding storyline that WWE decided to do for publicity and got them both in good graces and in hot water with the GLAAD, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. You'd think Vince McMahon had learned his lesson. The Vince McMahon, speaking of Vince, it's amazing how Vince gets mentioned a lot in these, just in my observations. The get on your hands and knees and bark like a dog promo, Bret Hart's WCW promo about Owen when a fan screamed out, "Hurry up." Yeah, I guess that was an awkward moment. Probably one of the biggest ones, you got to go Katie Vick, because nothing says awkward like necrophilia. What was Vince McMahon thinking back in 2002? Oh, man. And, of course, Bret Hart's meltdown on Raw after that cage match, which kind of led to his eventual heel turn a little bit later in 1997. Of course, losing a title shot against Sid, who was the champion at the time. It was a cage match where The Undertaker got involved. And then Vince McMahon, still in interviewer mode. I think I actually put this as a Today in Wrestling History segment, or put it up on the Facebook fan page. I'll have to dig back a couple of months, but he threw out there, frustrated isn't the bleep bleep word for it. This is bull bleep, and just kind of went on from there. And he also throws in Owen Hart from the '94 Royal Rumble. An interesting promo. He said, "When I kicked your leg out of your leg." So there's There's a few examples, of course, and as I've read those off, John has thrown on a bunch more, which we'll get back to in a little bit, because I could probably go through these for quite a bit. But let's go ahead and get to the lines. We've got Al waiting on the line. Al from Trenton, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Hi, Fearon.
Hey, what's going on?
50-year wrestling fan.
Oh, good, good for you.
And my worst...
Glad you've endured.
The worst thing that I could think of was Vince McMahon kiss my grits angle.
Oh, the infamous club. Yeah.
I mean, that was too much for everything. And to see the legends actually do it, I couldn't believe it. Yeah,
that club came out way too often. It seemed like every other week for a brief period of time. Next thing you know, Vince McMahon is showing his bare posterior on Monday Night Raw and getting somebody to kiss it.
It's got to be the worst.
Yeah, I mean, as far as awkwardness, I would definitely put it top 10. Absolutely. I mean,
yeah, I've been behind the scenes some years ago, and I had talked to you once before on the air.
Yeah,
and my favorite match was the tag team match between Pedro Morales and Bruno Sammartino against Professor Tanaka and Mr. Fuji. I mean, that's the one that had my blood boiling. I mean, that was my favorite match. That's what got you.
Now, is that what got you hooked, or is that like just your favorite? Like that's what gets the goosebumps going. And yeah, okay,
yeah, my favorite of all time. And anytime I get a chance to try to find old tapes, that's all I go for now. Bruno tapes and all from the 60s and 70s.
Well, I know that a lot of them have been popping up, or a lot of different matches have been popping up on YouTube, and I know WWE's slowly leaking, letting a lot of those out. I mean, depending on which DVD. I know they had I think they have a couple Bruno matches on the history of the WWE Championship DVD. It's been a while since I've seen it, but that's that's one example. You mentioned tag teams, and actually, I'm glad John also mentioned it. This one, I wasn't sure how to feel about it. Going back to 2006, I don't know if you remember this one or not, Al. The infamous tag team match of Vince and Shane McMahon against Shawn Michaels and God. You recall that one at all?
Yep.
I want to say it was from Backlash 2006. That was certainly awkward. I would imagine for a lot. I'm surprised that Vince didn't get into more hot water for that, and it wouldn't surprise me if Vince's wife Linda's opponents, since she's running for Senate up in the state of Connecticut, if they don't use that, or at least use information from that as some sort of political fodder to, I guess, be used against her.
Sure. But when the fans get a chance, they need to get out and support all these independents, because that's where you get your bang for your buck.
Yeah, and you certainly get more creativity than you'll see on a lot of the TV. Because I mean, at this point, you've got Brian Gewirtz trying to figure out what next funny comedic thing to do, whether it's the Funkasaurus or bringing Hornswoggle out yet again, or whatever.
Alrighty, thanks, Fearon.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate the call, Al. Absolutely. Let's actually, this is a good time to take care of our second bit of business. We'll come back. We've got a little bit more news and notes. Paul Heyman kind of challenging the Young Bucks a little bit. We'll talk about that. We've got some more awkward wrestling moments. I still have the ratings and stock stories to get to. All that, plus more of your Facebook feedback and calls as well. 215-949-3232 and toll free at 888-922-2149. Those are the ways to reach us here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.